The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
The World Bank decided to reduce the economic growth forecast of Georgia. According to the World Bank, in 2023, growth is expected to slow to 4%, largely reflecting a base effect from strong growth in 2022, as well as slowdown in economic partners such as the European Union and diminishing money inflows. In the medium term, growth is expected to stabilize around potential 5%. 100% share of the Georgian Railways from the Partnership Fund was transferred directly to the government of Georgia, according to the official statement sent by the London Stock Exchange to the investors. In the summer of 2022, it became known to the public that within the framework of the Partnership Fund reform, the largest asset, the Georgian Railways, would be transferred to the government, although the exact details and the date of the transaction were not made public. According to the announcement made by the London Stock Exchange, the transaction had already been completed in December and the government had become the owner of the railway. In December 2022, the consumer price index decreased by 0.3% compared to the previous month, while the annual inflation rate amounted to 9.8%, reads the recent publication of the National Statistics Office of Georgia, Geostat. With regard to the annual core inflation, the prices increased by 6.9%, while the annual core inflation without tobacco amounted to 6.8%. This is The Checkpoints. I'm Elena Guangilashvili, author and the anchor of the show, and the Checkpoints team is ready to keep you updated on business and economics. Since this is the first show of 2023, let me start with the good news that is personally empowering. According to Google Analytics, the number of readers of BM.G website in 2022 was 7.24 million, which was 41% more than the previous year. According to Google Analytics, this 7.24 million users made a total of 16.8 million sessions on the website, which was 24% more than the previous year. In December 2022, the number of readers of BM.G reached 806,000, which is a 30% increase compared to the previous year. Compared to the previous month, the increase is 39.6%. As for the number of sessions, it was 1.3 million in December, which is 39% more than the previous month and 23% more than the same period last year. The average duration of one visit was 58 seconds. According to Google Analytics, 59.8% of BM.G readers landed on the site via a link from a social media platform. 25.2% of visits were direct visits and 14.8% of visits were other visits. During the period, 56% of BM.G readers were women and 44% were men. In terms of age, 14% of readers were 18 to 24 years old, 28% were 25 to 34, 27% were 35 to 44 years old, 17% were 45 to 54 years old, 9% were 55 to 64 years old. The number of readers older than 65 was 5%. Thank you for watching and reading BMG. And now here's our recap of the first weekly business news and outlook in 2023.
A new residential complex, Telovoli Residence, is built in Tel Aviv on a land area of 20,000 square meters. According to the founder of the company, Zurab Yakubashvili, the initial investment for the construction of the complex amounts to 2 million gelari. The founder of Telovoli Residence told BMG that the amount of investment will also increase along with the expansion of the complex. We are implementing the residential complex project at the exit of Tel Aviv, where vineyards are planted. The arrangement and construction of the first building, swimming pool, tennis court, small cellar and bicycle paths are underway. This process will be completed in 1 year. However, in the future we plan to fully utilize the territory, which includes the addition of new buildings and private residential villas, says Zura Biakobishvili. Telavoli residence has not started sales yet, but the company's founder says there is a lot of interest in the project and sales will start soon. As he notes, interest is from Georgian as well as from foreign customers. Last December, Galleria Tbilisi had more than 35,000 customers per day, which was 20,000 more than the same period of 2021, according to Nini Adduashvili, head of Galleria Tbilisi. Nini Adduashvili also spoke about the increase in sales and said that last December the company's sales also increased compared to the same period of 2021. The easing of pandemic background and the influx of Russian and Belarusian citizens from the March 2022 led to an increase in both customer traffic and sales figures, Nini Adduashvili explained. According to her, in 2022, Galleria Tbilisi will return to the 2019 level in terms of revenues and customers. Nini Adduashvili also noted that the number of average checks in the trade chain has also increased. The toy sales hit a record high for the new year. During this period, toy stores had to serve several hundred persons and in some cases more than 2,000 customers visited them per day. The business associates the increased demand with the post-pandemic period. This year we had to deal with record high flows. A lot of customers visited our toy store chain. After the pandemic, the recovery is clearly felt. As for the sales figures, there was a more than 30% increase in Pepela chain during the new year compared to the previous year and a 40% increase in XS Toys, says Anna Divanishvili, Business Development Director of Biblos Group. The marketing specialist of the Wishlist store also spoke about the sharp increase in sales. We served more than 2,000 customers a day on New Year. Our store is located on the third floor of Tbilisi Mall and queues started from the second floor. The flow of people did not stop, said Elena Tskadadze. In the toy store Buratino, the sales rate has increased by an average of 37% compared to 2021 and they served an average of 400 people per day. Joint stock company Rustavi Azot, which is one of the largest enterprises of mineral fertilizers and industrial chemicals in the Caucasus region, was sold. Joint stock company EU Investment bought 100% share of the company. The buyer is the Georgian subsidiary of Indorama Corporation, a multinational international corporation based in Singapore. Indorama is one of the largest conglomerates in the world, which includes enterprises producing mineral fertilizers, industrial chemicals and various chemical products. The corporation owns more than 160 enterprises in 38 countries of the world, including Europe, Asia, Africa, North and Latin America, and employs more than 45,000 people. Hotels located in Mestia talk about reduced visitors' flows. According to them, the reason for this is lack of snow. As the founder of the Buda Hotel states, on New Year's Day the occupancy was 100%, but today it is 50%. According to Tatia Tetrashvili, only those guests are coming to Mestia who are not interested in ski tracks. Ski tracks are not opened in Mestia, which affects the traffic. Many reservations have been cancelled. During the new year we have been busy, but last few days tourists are leaving Mestia. At this stage we are working with 50% load. Only those tourists are arriving who are not interested in ski tracks, says Tatia Tetrashvili, the founder of Buda Hotel. In 2022, furniture prices increased by 30-40%. General Director of the furniture manufacturing company Homemade, Zuka Badridze, told BMG. According to him, the cost of materials needed for the production of products doubled last year, which made the price increase on the furniture inevitable. The company is trying to maintain the prices at the expense of reducing profit margin. In recent years, the cost of furniture has increased significantly due to the price growth on raw materials. In fact, the cost of all materials needed to make furniture has gone up by 100%, including wood, cloth, textile, and etc. Nevertheless, we try our best to have a minimum margin and make the prices as affordable as possible for the customers. This is furniture produced in Georgia, and it should be much more affordable for the local population compared to the imported furniture, states Zuka Badridze. Yagos Wine expanded its export markets in 2022 as the founder of the company, Yakub Bitarishvili, told TV program Business Morning. Currently, their wines is sold in 11 countries. It can be said that every year a new country is added. It's practically noteworthy that there is a great interest from Asia countries, namely China and South Korea. They became interested in buying Georgian quarry wine during the pandemic, and this process continues, said Yakub Bitarishvili. According to him, the company is currently in the process of planting new vineyards, and after the productivity increases, Yagos wines will appear in the Georgian market in symbolic quantities. We cannot increase the number of countries anymore. For the last 3 years, we have been concentrating on planting vineyards, and we are planning to plant a new vineyard in 2023. This does not mean that our product will increase by a large amount. It will allow us to operate stably in the already existing countries, explains the founder of Yagos Wine. As for the price of Georgian wine, Bitarishvili says that Georgian wine belongs to rather high price segment.
Let me now focus your attention on a specific business. It is not in Georgia, but in Moldova. Moldova Agro-Bank, MAIB, is the leading bank in Moldova. 1 year ago, its supervisory board and the National Bank of Moldova approved Giorgi Shagidze as the bank's new CEO. Giorgi has more than 25 years of banking experience, most recently as the chief financial officer and chief operating officer of TBC Bank in Georgia. During his 10-year tenure, TBC increased its asset base more than 8-fold, emerging as the largest bank in Georgia. In 2014, TBC launched an IPO on the London Stock Exchange, LSE, attracting foreign institutional and retail investors. 2 years later, the listing was upgraded to the premium segment of LSE. TBC shares are included in the FTSE 250 index with a current market capitalization of around USD 1 billion. Giorgi Sakadze sat down with Giorgi Shagidze for a conversation on doing banking in Moldova and more.
Giorgi, many thanks for your time. Always happy to host you in our Fort Georgia office, so many thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
So tell me, how do you do in this, I don't know how to call it, it's more than uncertainty, what is happening around, but it's been a while after our last interview. How is Moldova and Moldova economy doing so far, especially after 24th of February, which is crucially important for us to know, taking into consideration Moldova's geographical location and economic ties, especially with Russia Federation, which usually uses energy tools against unfriendly countries.
Yes, indeed. It's an important question. I think if we start from the perspective of the long-term performance of the economy and the country's vision to become member of European Union, I think this crisis even created certain opportunities given the candidacy status for Moldova. Thank you very much. And I think the integration is going on, and it's quite strong support from European Union and from the country's leadership assistance to speed up the integration process. So this is clearly a positive positive. If we speak about the war when it started, of course, first 2-3 months, the situation was quite challenging. People were expecting Russians to come to Pridnestrovye, which is the.
Do you mean that invasion was expected?
It was expected because it was not very apparent, but I think there was
some emotions.
There was a perception, and there was certain TV channels in Russia that basically showed even the map of the region, and that's why the people started to react, and we had the pressure on deposits. But I think this banking sector was very strong, is very strong, was very liquid, well capitalized, and I think we went through this quite difficult process quite easily.
The first quarter, let me say so, after 24th of February, similar to what you definitely remember in Georgia by 2008, when Russia invaded Georgia, and these will last like 5 days, that period. Was the financial system or pressure on commercial banks similar to what has happened in 2008 Georgia?
There was a strong pressure on deposits, similar to what happened in Georgia, and in fact there was a problem with cash, and we had to bring the cash with from Europe with the charter flights and so on, and that was quite challenging because the sky was kind of closed because of the invasion and into Ukraine and so on. So that the first 2-3 months were quite challenging. The sector had very strong liquidity, which basically was used wisely, and then we opened the branches, and then we didn't restrict any withdrawals from deposits or any transfers. And in second month or the third month, the situation started to recover, and people started to feel more comfortable with the banking sector, and then the deposits started to recover. So that was the first phase.
Impact.
First phase.
Tell me how is in general Moldovan economy doing? We all know that the biggest advantage what this country has is around 1 million, let me say so, citizens, which in reality have dual citizenship. European and Moldovan as a candidate already to European Union. Was Moldovan economy sustainable enough to meet all these challenges? And how in general the economy is growing, because it's also a very important part of the EU agenda, which Moldovan government and whole society is following.
Well, I would say it's on the right track, clearly, and has a very strong points. The public debt is quite low. The currency rate has been very stable. The actual integration, on the ground integration with European Union is happening, and has been happening for many years. 70% of export goes to EU, and 60+% export comes from EU. Again, 1 million people plus having European Union passport. This is big point for the economy.
Indeed.
I go and meet our corporate customers. They manufacture goods with the tax already attached there for the European consumers. And there is 2-3 hours distant from. It's a border with Europe. So this is clearly a big plus. The integration is strongly supported by the leadership, and they are doing excellent job from the perspective of being there with Europe and European leaders coming to Moldova. So this is clearly big plus.
Georgi, I'm not so much familiar in details about Moldova's dependence on Russia economy and how much these ties are presented in figures and statistics. Besides energy dependence, which was the first year, by the way, 2022, when Deputy Prime Minister, of Moldova, he officially announced that country is not dependent exclusively on Russian energy sources anymore. Are there any other important or crucial ties with Russian economy, which really need to be revised, or it's already in process of revision?
Well, I think few points may be important. This crisis also revealed this opportunity, and I think it was in November when Moldova started to import electricity from Romania. There is a pipeline that you can import gas as well. So they clearly showed the made the diversification possible, and this is a big plus as well. We went through our, let's say, loan book when the war started, and what we found out is that only about 10% of our customers had the exposure to Russia, and only about 10% of those 10% had the exposure more than 20%. Now, this is kind of the long formula, but then it just suggests that the exposure had been quite limited even before the war. By the way, there is a good parallel. I think it was in 2006 when the wine Russians
wine embargo. You remember wine embargo to Georgia.
Correct. So the same happened.
Agriculture goods and
wine
the
same happened in Moldova as well. And now I think 80% plus Moldovan wine goes to EU, which is clearly a very positive outcome of this.
You mentioned about bank portfolio in regards of Russia. Taking into consideration, you represent as CEO of the biggest Moldovan bank. Tell us about results of your bank for 2022.
Of course. We started quite large or significant or huge transformation. I think we are somewhere in the middle, but then this transformation, first of all, ensures that we put the customer at the center of everything we do. And I know many companies are saying this, but it clearly requires lots of transformation in the mindset, in the processes, in the routines. And there are so many things we are doing. We did the brand refreshment, so not rebranding. Brand refreshment.
You're colorful.
Yeah, it's colorful, more digital, more modern. We changed the customer relationship model in all our branches. We are changing the design of the branches with the new colors that are open, and so when we are somewhere in the middle of this change, we are doing most importantly, this is cultural transformation, right? Corporate culture transformation. And we go and see many things how ING did it. So, for example, about 1 month ago, about 60 of us went to see how ING went from traditional bank to become more agile institution. The 60 of us are going Stanford Executive Education courses, which is designed for MAIB transformation, and we are very proud and excited to go through this as well. So this is big cultural transformation. The second one is the transformation in digital, and we did so many initiatives this year. Google Pay, Apple Pay, Tap to Phone, Wallet when you pay the utility payments. We just launched 1 month ago we launched a full digital only card, and then we will soon launch the Face ID, so that you basically confirm your payment
identification through the face,
through the face. So there are many things in digital, and on top of those digital initiatives, we already launched 3 so-called marketplaces or ecosystems with automobiles, with housing, and with agricultural products.
So auto, real estate, and
agriculture. So basically, these are the initiatives that we launched.
What about the figures and how portfolio is growing? I'm really interested how you guys keep up your position being number 1 Moldovan market.
Indeed. So all this transformation needs to happen in parallel of good financial performance. Otherwise, it would be, we are 37% of market in terms of the loans, and number 2 bank is about 20%. So the gap between the top and number 2 player is increasing. Last year, we grew our market share in SME banking by 4 percentage point plus, in retail banking by between 1 and 2 percentage point, and in digital transactions, we grew our digital users by about 70% quarter 3 2021, quarter 3 2022. So this growth have been there, quite impressive numbers in parallel of strong portfolio quality. We call it coverage ratio just to ensure that we have enough reserves, and then we have even increased the coverage ratio. So this is important. And from the perspective of return on equity, quarter 3 has been 21.2%, and quarter 4 we haven't yet published, but I don't see many reasons why it should be materially different.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking into consideration traditional quarter 4, which is quite active everywhere around the world. Georgi, now tell me about your plans for 2023, taking into consideration the statement you have made. Well, it's not a statement, it's been your choice, the decision of the bank. When you choose special financial institutions, investment banks and others, it's a group of very important players on the global market who will advise you and lead you to the open market of the initial public offering, which is IPO, and you guys plan to make it happen in 2023. Tell me about it.
Yeah, this is very important and one of the most important initiatives. One thing I must say though, the transformation that I spoke about, it's important with or without IPO. So I think it's the target of this transformation is to, yes, it's to strengthen the strategic position, financial performance, and so on. But then, yes, we are targeting to explore IPO in 2023, subject to market conditions and how the geopolitical situation will develop in the region. We think that there is a good chance to do the IPO in 2023, already in 2023. Now, I think when we speak about IPO, it's very important to say it has much bigger effect on the economy and on the business climate in the country than the bank. It's, well, I mean, it has the both impact. But I think when the largest bank does the listing, it acts as the gateway to bring new investors to position the country well. So we did the Moldovan Capital Market Day on London Stock Exchange 1 year ago. About 2-3 months ago, we did Moldovan Capital Market Day, or Moldova-Romanian Capital Bridges. That was the name with Bucharest Stock Exchange, which was opened by the Prime Minister of Romania and Prime Minister of Moldova. So there is a strong interest. And by the way, when we speak with our potential investors in the financial centers of the world, there is a strong interest to invest in Moldova, to invest in the banking sector, and to invest in MAIB. So this is clearly big impact to the country.
Did I get you correctly in regards of targeting the IPO? It's going to be happening in Bucharest Stock Exchange, or it's different location?
No, it will be in Bucharest Stock Exchange.
They're growing.
Yeah, they are growing. They have good local demand. There are many quite already
it's about
sophisticated.
40 billion capitalization. Am I right?
Yes, 40 billion capitalization plus all the international usual suspects or investors who would invest in frontier markets. They are happy to invest in MAIB through Bucharest Stock Exchange. So this is important.
So good luck to Moldova, and maybe in regards of EU access and all this difficult agenda we've got to go through, and good luck to you and your team with transformation process and IPO as well.
Thank you. Thank
you
very
so much, Georgi, for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How did the economy perform during the first week of 2023? Our reporter Natia Taktakishvili pulled together this week's economic news and outlook.
The Ministry of Finance of Georgia will approach the World Bank in line with the decision of the government of Georgia on the allocation of $75 million for the feasibility study to be carried out for the Black Sea submarine power transmission project. A preliminary agreement has been already reached with the World Bank on the volume and aim of the funding, reads the press statement from the government of Georgia. The meeting also discussed a draft government decree on the agreements to be concluded by and between the government of Georgia and Ajara Energy LLC on Imereti wind power plant. Capacity of the power plant is 50 megawatts with a generation potential of 180 million kilowatt hour, while the required investment amounts to $66 million. The World Bank decided to reduce the economic growth forecast for Georgia. According to the World Bank, in 2023, growth is expected to slow down to 4%, largely reflecting a base effect from strong growth in 2022, as well as slowdown in economic partners such as the European Union and the diminishing money inflows. In the medium term, growth is expected to stabilize around potential 5%. Inflationary pressures in Georgia have eased in the second half of 2022 while remaining high at 9.8% in December in annual terms. Tourism and remittances in Georgia could be negatively affected as Russian economy is expected to suffer a more pronounced slump in 2023 due to the protracted conflict and sanctions. On the upside, money inflows could last longer than initially expected, and Georgia could benefit from some trade diversions as transport corridors are reconfigured. In November 2022, the construction cost index increased by 0.8% compared to the previous month, reached the recent publication of National Statistics Office of Georgia. Compared to February 2022, the construction cost index increased by 9%. The latter was largely caused by the 16.5% increase in average monthly nominal wages of employees in the construction sector, which contributed 3.21 percentage point to the total index change, the report concludes. Armenia has become the sixth largest trade partner of Georgia after turnover between the two countries increased by 70% between January and November of 2022 to exceed the $1 billion mark, Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili said on Thursday in comments at a meeting of the Intergovernmental Economic Commission in Yerevan. We have a centuries-old good neighborly relations and brotherhood, and I am sure that our meeting today will be another step forward in terms of economic progress, introduction of innovations and advancement of our countries. All these can be achieved only in conditions of peace and regional stability, Garibashvili said. According to Georgian Prime Minister, the move would help further strengthen the possibilities to establish long-term peace and stability in the region, a condition he called a prerequisite for strong long-term economic growth and prosperity for our peoples. Main directions of cooperation between Georgia and Armenia and questions of regional importance were discussed on Thursday in a meeting between the Georgian and Armenian Prime Ministers Irakli Garibashvili and Nikol Pashinyan. The officials highlighted the role of Intergovernmental Economic Commission set up between the two countries, calling the body an important platform for strengthening ties between them, the government administration said. The meeting also focused on the security environment and challenges in the region and the world. Garibashvili expressed his willingness to continue playing the role of a mediator between neighboring countries of the South Caucasus in a bid to ensure peace and stability in the region.
Kakheti is among the top 50 sightseeing places in 2023 by New York Times. On the 23rd place, Georgia's region is distinguished because of new flavors and ancient winemaking traditions in tiny hilltop towns and green valleys. According to the New York Times, the mountainous nation of Georgia's 8,000-year-old winemaking tradition is at the center of several new trends in the wine world, including skin contact wines, amphora fermentation, and charismatic grape varieties like Saperavi. As a result, Georgian wine exports to the United States recently topped 1 million bottles and are growing at almost 29% annually, as wine enthusiasts recently reported. For wine lovers, a tasting trip to estates like Vazisubani and Kardanaki in Kakheti offers a chance to discover new wines in a landscape of tiny hilltop towns and verdant valleys framed by the Caucasus. Many wines are made in traditional pointed fairy clay vessels that are buried in the earth. To complement the experience, local chefs have started offering cooking classes where gastronomes can learn how to make the meaty dumplings known as khinkali and other dishes from what's Europe's great unsung cuisine. New York Times reads. Remember that time when the European country of Georgia was mistaken with the US state of the same name, and many people congratulated the state Georgia over winning rugby. It sure made some headlines in global and local media. Well, here's the message from Georgia Rugby Union: with love from Georgia to Georgia. Christmas and a Happy New Year sure was a great excuse to do the video that will definitely make you smile.
Hey Georgia, sisters and brothers overseas, Merry Christmas to you.
You know, we always have Georgia on our mind when we work hard and win, as do you.
We think of Georgia when we lose, fall, but we always rise, shine and continue to work even harder, as you do as well. It may be other Georgia we think of, but we mean love and pride as you do to our Georgia.
We love, we live, and we fight and we work for rugby like you do. And if somebody cannot distinguish us, it's okay. It makes us two on this planet, and that's very, very good.
And when we Google Georgia for news, we smile and are happy with good news related to you. We are proud of you for the hard work you do to increase and enlarge our game. We are looking Rugby World Cup in 2031 that you will be hosting, and we are proud of it. For 2023, we are sure there will be better Georgian rugby news. Does it matter which Georgia will it be? Consider our victories as yours, as we do, and keep smiling, keep winning, and think of Georgia.
Hello, I'm Kelly Degnan, the United States Ambassador to the country of Georgia on the Black Sea. It is my great pleasure to pass along a special holiday message from some friends here in Georgia to my fellow Americans. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you all. You're in our thoughts this holiday season. With love from Georgia to Georgia and to the rest of the United States as well. Rugby is our game.
And that's all for today. You know how in Georgia we celebrate Christmas and the New Year twice. And since it is just a day after the old New Year, as formulated by Georgians, wish you the best 2023 again. See you next Sunday, 11 a.m. sharp. But before that, you can find all the information you need about business and economics on bm.g and forbes.g. Till Sunday.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.